Hey everybody and welcome back. Today we are going to be making some hand pies, some Korean pancakes out of chickpeas, and lots of cooking. Let's go. You gotta stand tall. Today I'm going to be showing you what we cooked for Saturday. Saturdays are typically a free for all day, really. We don't have a meal plan or anything like that. And so on Saturdays, we actually try to make all the foods in the morning during lunchtime or like before lunchtime, where we can just eat and snack all day. So we don't have to be out in the kitchen cooking all day. This just makes everything so much easier and so much more relaxed for Saturdays, and this is just what we've been doing. So for breakfast, we're just going to have a cut up rock melon, or cantaloupe if you call it here. We love fruit for breakfast. It's such an easy go-to breakfast. Last night we also soaked some chickpeas. I wanted to get these soaked chickpeas cooked before we start heading out to do chores, so I am just boiling a little bit of the chickpeas that we have soaked. Then we are stepping out for chores. Good morning. So we are here doing chores. It is a really nice and sunny day. It's not hot right now, but I'm sure it'll get hot later on. We are going to be milking Gazelle. She is so sweet and she has lots and lots of milk. So we are just feeding her some grain here, and then this helps with milk production. We have alfalfa in there. Yeah, so I have my hair up here because it is hot. Typically, Emmanuel, our oldest son, he does the milking, but because right now he's actually inside, so I'm just going to take over and milk Giselle while, he does his thing. So let's get started, shall we? All right, now that Giselle is done, we are going to just wait for the next goat. Grace is in charge of getting the goat to us, and she just runs the goats. And we're just constantly gonna switch goats and milk them just to keep it efficient. Typically we milk twice a day because just to keep the milk flow or milk production up. So we like to milk once in the morning and once at night time. Usually it's about 6 o'clock in the morning and then 6 o'clock at night. Now, if you are new to goat keeping and you want to learn more about milking goats and how often you should be milking goats, I have a full blog post that I'm going to link down below here in the description box just for you to reference. And I also have a free downloadable to download your goat milk record chart. It is very, very useful to keeping track of, how much your goats are producing, so that way you know sort of a benchmark on how much your goats are producing in milk. So check out that blog post. I'm going to link it down below for those of you who are interested in goat keeping and milking your goats. We also recently moved the boys in this pen. This is sort of our first garden area. We didn't get to plant this year, but we have a ton of these spiky weeds growing here. So we have the boys eating them as much as possible. As you can see, we still feed them hay, but for the most part, we only feed them a flake, which is plenty for these little babies and one adult goat. And then we're really encouraging them to eat down all these weeds. Free food for the goat. All right, now once the chores are done, we went back into the kitchen and we are going to start by preparing some strawberry jam or jelly. It's just a really quick, simple way to make jam, strawberry jam, and we're going to make some hand pies with it. So Emmanuel and Grace have chopped up and just kind of prepared the strawberries for our jam. We are going to boil it with a little bit of water and some coconut sugar, and we're just going to keep that in the back burner. Meanwhile, Grace is going to prepare the dough for our hand pies. Now, typically you will see that we mill our own flour, but we actually ran out, and our next shipment is not until September, like mid-September. So we just kind of cheated a little bit this week, and we got some organic flour here, and we're just going to add some coconut sugar, some salt, and a little bit of coconut oil, and we're just going to mix it up with a little bit of water later on and make a very, very simple flaky hand pie type dough. While Grace is doing that, I am actually just going to add some soaked chickpeas into our Blendtec blender. We are going to prepare our batter for our Korean pancakes. Now I know this is not the most traditional Korean pancake, but this is just our version. I added some salt to our chickpeas. I am also going to add some sesame oil, a little bit of fennel seeds, and we're just going to mix that up and blend it all up. As far as the hand pie dough, we are adding water slowly, just enough for the dough to come together, and we're just going to knead this just until it is all incorporated. We're then going to refrigerate this for about half an hour until the strawberry jam is ready. For the chickpea batter, I also did add some onion powder and some fennel seeds just to add a little bit more of that anisey flavor and some rich, delicious aroma to it. I'm going to add water just enough to cover it, and then we're going to blend it up as smooth as possible. This is the texture that we are going for. It is sort of like a very, very thick pancake consistency. And we are just going to add that to a large bowl here so we can add all of our vegetables and the rest of our ingredients. For the Korean pancakes, we are using what we have in the fridge. So I have here an orange bell pepper that I am snacking on as I chop. I also have some carrots here that I'm going to chop up, and then some onions and a cabbage as well. You can absolutely use whatever that you have on hand. Something that I really love putting into these Korean pancakes, if we have, is some chives, like a ton of chives, or even some lots of spring onions. So right now, while I was mixing all of the vegetables, I realized I needed some more room. So I transferred all of the batter into a bigger bowl here, and I'm just going to add some finely chopped cabbage as finely as I can, and I'm going to try my best to mix this as best as possible. After maneuvering it a little bit, I actually wanted to add a little bit more greens. I just had some cilantro that I have here, so I'm just going to chop it up, add a little bit more sesame oil, a little bit more salt, and then just give it another great mix. I just went back to check on the strawberry jam, and it looks very liquidy here, but it actually does kind of congeal up a little bit more as you cool it. So we are ready to go for the pies. Now Mercy is over here getting ready to make our pies while I'm actually just making another dish. This is for my husband Trey, and we are going to make a chickpea soup for him, sort of resembling a Mexican dish called Menudo. Really, it's just very inspired by Menudo. So I have a pot going on in the background with some ingredients like peppers, onions, and tomatoes, and then I also am going to put some chickpeas and some greens in there. Mercy is starting to make her little first hand pie, and Isaiah decided to join as well. So we're just adding it in the middle here. We're going to fold it together, and then we're going to use a fork to pinch the ends. On the stove here, I have some grapeseed oil that I have on my cast iron skillet, and of course I'm going to just stir our mixture for this soup, this chickpea soup here in the back, and then I'm just going to start making some of our chickpea Korean pancakes. You can really make this as thin or as thick as you want to. I am just going to start off with it being a little bit thicker just because it was so fat with all the vegetables in there. I'm just going to continue to work on the soup as we wait for these Korean pancakes to cook. So now I'm just going to be adding some water for our soup, and then we are going to check on our pancakes, and boom, it is nice and golden and delicious. We're going to flip it and cook it for another few minutes or so until they are done. And we're just going to line a baking sheet with a paper towel just to absorb any excess oils, and we're going to continue to make these. Now, if you have a bigger skillet, by all means, please do use them because these do take a little bit longer to cook, and if you're making a big batch like ours, it did take quite a long time. Now here we go once again. The oldest one always sneaks some food before anyone else. Alrighty, the kids are done making the first batch of hand pies. We're going to bake this at 400 degrees for about 15-20 minutes or so. We're going to check it roughly, and then we're going to see how it turned out. Look at that delicious Korean pancakes. In the end, the oldest one, Mercy and Isaiah, are the ones who made all of these delicious hand pies. We actually decided to make peanut butter and jelly ones. Really not peanut butter, but we had organic sunflower butter we're going to add, as well as the jam, and they had a ball. You could see that Mercy made some faces, and you know, they always get creative. All right, let's give these a taste test, shall we? These are so good. They are filled and packed with vegetables. It's just so delicious with that sesame oil. It was just perfect. I'm gonna taste a bite here, just my taste test piece here. Ooh, okay, I remember it was very, very hot, but it was really, really good. Definitely give these a shot. They are so easy to make. Now once these are baked, voila, we just took them out of the oven and we're just gonna let them cool until room temperature. At this point, everyone was in the kitchen. I was here making a little easy coleslaw thing for our lunch, just to go with our Korean pancakes. We wanted something light and crunchy and refreshing, and also a little bit acidic, just to pair up with that Korean pancake. I made it very simple just by chopping up the leftover half of the cabbage. So we added some red onions, some tomatoes, and some apple cider vinegar, some sesame oil, and salt. And then we're going to plate it up. So we have a bed of this delicious coleslaw. We're then going to add a Korean pancake, and voila, that was lunch. Also, here is Trey's lunch, the Menudo, or a Menudo inspired chickpea soup. We're going to top it up with some red onions. We were out of cilantro, but that would have been really delicious, and we added some lime juice to it too. And that was our lunch. We had some extra Korean pancakes. We made a huge batch, so we're actually going to have some for dinner time. And that's one way that we kind of keep sane, is we just bake a bunch of things or make a bunch of things during the day, and we're going to eat it throughout the day, so we don't really have to worry too much about people getting hungry, the kids getting hungry, or me getting hungry. And these pies, by the way, they turned out really delicious. They were nice and flaky, just a great afternoon treat. Alright, and now it is dinner time, and to keep it simple, because we already have our Asian Korean pancakes made, we're going to eat some of that for dinner, and then I'm going to make a very simple sauce here for some noodles. So I have some onions, some ginger that I chopped very, very finely. I also have some spring onions here, which I'm going to use the very ends of it in the sauce. Once that is added, this is typically the simplest sauce that we make, and we love it. We added some chili flakes here, and we're going to add also some sesame oil. This is really inspired by Chinese cooking because we are very simple folk. This also was inspired by my mom cooking an even more simpler noodle for this, because it's just survival food. We have some of the onions and ginger cooking in some grapeseed oil and sesame oil. We also have our chickpea noodles cooking on the other end. I then added what we had left over of our coconut aminos, and then I added a little bit of apple cider vinegar and some organic tamari and cooking wine. This gives it some really delicious depth of flavor here. You can also add some miso, that's really good too. Once the noodles are ready, we are going to just drain them, and we're going to rinse them and return it back to the same pot. The sauce is done in like 5 minutes. It is so quick and so flavorful and delicious. We're going to add the sauce onto the noodles, give it a good toss. It looked like we needed a little bit more, so I added the rest of the spring onions and a little bit of water and some more tamari. And then we're just going to cook it on the stove top, just to meld all of the ingredients and the sauces together, and also just to cook the noodles just a little bit more, just until it is nice and tender. If you need a quick fix for dinner or lunch, this is the way to go. We are going to serve it up with some of our Korean pancakes, of course, and there you have it. We have dinner for everybody. It is filled with protein and it's absolutely delicious and so quick to make. All right, it is nighttime now. It's about 7 o'clock, I would say, and we are going to finish milking our goats. We started a little bit later, but we got to get it done. But we want to thank you. We can't wait to see you on the next one. Subscribe if you are a newcomer here. We would love to see you on the next video. Take care, guys, and have a great week. Bye now.